So you should have been able to get your player moving around the screen using WASD or arrow keys if you preferred. So this is what I've got here. And now what we're going to do is going to add in a simple script, an object that's going to allow us to fire a bullet around the screen. So this here, we're going to add a new sprite. I'm going to create a sprite, edit this sprite, new sprite. I'm going to make this 8 by 8. It's going to be fairly small. And then I'm going to go in and I'm just going to fill it with a color. Click the tick, like that. For what I'm about to do now, I'm actually going to center these sprites. It's going to make it easier. So I'm going to hit center and I'm going to go to sprite player 1 and hit center as well. Otherwise, I've got to do calculations regarding, this is going to be sprite bullet, by the way. Okay. So I go down to make a new object, object bullet, and hit that there. And I'm going to add a few events. On the create event, I'm also going to add an other event, what happens when it goes outside of the room. The outside the room one is really straightforward. I'm going to go control, execute code, destroy the bullet is my title, and then it's instance underscore destroy with the brackets and the end line statement. And so as soon as it goes outside the room, that event will happen. It will execute this action, which is destroy this instance. In the create event, however, I want to set up a few things here. We'll put in some variables. Bullet speed equals 12. Bullet or direction equals no one. Actually, we will make it equal the no one. No, actually, I want a point 2. Point. I'll go underscore. It should bring up a few things here. Here, point direction. Okay, so there's a few functions that we can make the bullet point in a specific direction. So I'll click point direction. And then when I open my brackets, it tells me down here how to use this function. So I need an X1 and a Y1 and an X2 and a Y2. Now, if you think of a line in maths, you can draw a straight line with 2 points. So what I need here is a starting point and an end point, and it's going to invisibly draw a line in that direction and assign it from the X1, Y1 position to the X2, Y2 position, and calculate the direction based on that line. So the X1, Y1 position is just going to be XY of the bullet object. And the X2, Y2 position is going to be mouse X and mouse Y. So essentially what it's going to do is it's going to put, as soon as this bullet's created, it's going to move in the direction of the mouse. Well, that's what we're setting up our bullet direction to do. Then I can set speed equals bullet, sorry, not speed, direction equals bullet, and speed equals bullet, speed. Now you might think these two variables here are actually redundant. They're not. If I want to use reference them from another object, it's a good idea to have these here. Also, it just gives it more meaning, so it's much easier to say, okay, bullet speed equals 12, I'll change that there, rather than speed equals whatever, because it's not too clear what the speed refers to. It is fairly obvious it refers to the speed of the bullet because it's on that, but I like to put these extra variables in there. It's not going to make it any more complicated. So we've got, when the bullet gets created, direction equals the direction that I've created up here, and the speed equals that. So I'll close that object down and I'll go to my player object, and I'm going to add in a new bit of code here. And this is going to be called, what we call it, weapon controller. Okay, so in here, we're going to have a thing, if keyboard underscore check. And I'm actually going to change these a little bit. I'm going to I'm going to call it K shoot equals keyboard underscore check. And I'm going to use left mouse. Oh, I don't want to do that then. I'll see mouse check button. And I think it is mouse 1, but I'm not sure. Mouse 0. I'll have a look in the help here. So we go index, mouse, check button. And it's going to be a num, which constant to check for? Oh, MB left. Okay. All right. So that's what I want to check for, MB left. And I'm just going to check if it's been pressed. That way I've got a tap to shoot. So what's happening here is I'm defining a variable. Remember, this is checking at every step. All this function does is return a true or a false, okay? If mouse button left has been pressed in the last frame, it will say that this is true. If it's not been pressed, it will say it's false. And then so k underscore shoot is going to be equal to true or false. Now I'll go down to here and say if k shoot. Now this is saying if k shoot is true, I could do this, but that's a waste of time. So if k shoot, that's checking if it's true. Then I'm going to do the stuff in these brackets. So the first thing I'm going to do is go mo minus equals 1. So I'm going to remove the mo count. I'm going to subtract it down to 1. So up here I'm going to have to add another bit that says and mo is greater than 0. Okay, if mo is at 0, I don't want to be able to shoot. So if we go mo minus equals 1, and then instance create object bullet, and down the bottom here it actually tells me how to use it. So I actually need the X and the Y position first. The X and the Y position is going to be the X and Y position of this object, which is the player, and then it's going to have the bullet. So what's going to happen if I've clicked the mouse button and I've got mo greater than 0, mo minus equals 1, instance to create XY object bullet. So I can check this out. I should be able, I might just go into my create event and set my mo down to 5 just to test it. And it might actually give me an error because I may have used the wrong thing. Yep. Okay, so you'll see that in my player count, I used player underscore mo. And in my script here, I just said mo. So we'll make sure we change that to player underscore mo. Player underscore mo. Click and a bullet gets created, and I should be able to shoot 5, and that's it. I can't shoot anymore. I'm clicking like crazy, but I only had 5 mo. So I can also, if I run this, I can move around, I can shoot, etc., and it shoots in the direction that my mouse has pointed. Now, the next step is for you to modify this script player here, and I want you to add it into the check player movement. What you want to do is rotate this here sprite so that it is always facing the mouse. Now, you might need to do something with this, edit the sprite just to test it, and draw a little black arrow on this facing the right. Like that. Okay, so that's it has to be facing the right. All sprites default to right facing, mainly because the direction 0 is right facing. 90 is up, 180 is left, 270 is down, and 360 is back to the right. But when it gets to 360, the computer just resets it to 0. So this here, what I would like you to do, I'm just actually going to pause this video if I can. Okay, so this is what you want to happen. So you can see that it is pointing in the direction of my mouse. So to do that, I added something in there, and you'll want to look in GameMaker help, index, point direction. That's going to be one, and another one is going to be image angle. Okay, so these two things here, image angle, And well, it actually gives you a pretty good example down there that you could use. So a lot of the time that will happen, you'll open up something in the help and it will tell you down the bottom what you can use. And in fact, that's pretty much the answer that you want. But where do you put that? How do you get it to work? See if you can figure that out.